Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that takes the lead in today's edition for Friday, 3rd January 2025, and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group. In spite of Trinidad and Tobago's state of emergency, an attorney was gunned down after attending a church service. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family, yes we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. An attorney hired by the state to prosecute an alleged gang leader was gunned down on New Year's Eve. This comprehensive news report from TTT News has more.
Former Assistant Director of Public Prosecutions and former head at the Legal Department at the Strategic Services Agency, Randall Hector, is said to have just left church around 7:30 on Old Year's night. He was walking towards his vehicle when he was shot at, as two vehicles pulled up alongside him. After the vehicles sped off, the attorney was rushed to hospital by a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church at Stanmore Avenue and Albion Street in Port of Spain. He was pronounced dead at hospital. Randall Hector was a special prosecutor assigned to the case against Calvin Lee, a.k.a. Tyson, for alleged gang-related charges. Investigators believe his murder may have been linked to an attempt on Tyson's life outside the Besseau Street police station last Saturday, where another man died. Within the first 2 hours of 2025, Trinidad and Tobago recorded its first murder for the year. 39-year-old Keegan Barbo was shot to death around 1:30 a.m. by men who entered his home. He lived at Laventille Road, San Juan. You can be fined up to $100,000 or face up to 5 years in prison for committing an offense during the state of emergency. This amendment was added to the Emergency Powers Regulations on Tuesday. It was inserted after Regulation 20, which outlines how the Defense Force will assist during the state of emergency. The original document was published on Monday night following the declaration of the state of emergency. Law enforcement officials maintain that all SOE is necessary to clamp down on violent crime, particularly offenses involving high-powered illegal weapons. As the state of emergency entered day 3, 4 men were arrested and 8 firearms, along with varying quantities of ammunition, were seized during state of emergency exercises overnight. Among those arrested, a 55-year-old Pitti Valley man connected to the seizure of 5 firearms. According to police, between 5:30 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. on December 31, 2024, during a search at the Pioneer Drive residence, a cache of weapons was discovered hidden in a bedroom. Among the items seized were an AR-15 rifle, 2 CZ pistols, 1 Glock pistol, and a Smith & Wesson pistol, along with an assortment of ammunition. The officers also found and seized $25,000 US and over 139,000 TT dollars in cash, which was submitted to the Financial Intelligence Bureau. In another incident, officers responded to a report of an armed man in the Critchlow Hill Morvar area when they observed an individual moving hastily through a crowd, concealing an object below his left arm. When officers called out to the man and instructed him to stop, he dropped the object he was carrying and fled. Police later discovered the item to be an AR-15 rifle with a magazine. A total of 46 people have been detained up to 6 p.m. on Tuesday evening by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service since the implementation of the state of emergency. This was confirmed by Police Commissioner Erla Harewood Christopher, who said that the arrests were made based on intelligence. The commissioner also cleared the air on how citizens could verify the legitimacy of police officers while entering one's home or during a stop and search exercise.
Police officers are still required to identify themselves, but what I want you to inform the public, police officers on exercises, on operations, you will have officers dressed in police uniform, gray and blue. So even if you have officers in the operational way, they will always be accompanied by an officer in the official gray and blue uniform.
And the Chief of Defense Staff, Darrell Daniels, said the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force will work in tandem with the TTPS to ensure public safety and security.
The Defense Force stands in readiness to assist the police as Regulation 21. 22 goes to your question about the Defense Force personnel operating under the SOE with the powers of a police officer. Also there's specific orders that will be made by the Chief of Defense Staff to guide how we will conduct those duties, to ensure your concern is addressed, that we operate in a manner that will be effective to support the police's efforts based on the request from the Defense Force to ensure public safety and security. To be more specific, we will have to work with police, having not had the training that you itemize, to ensure that if persons have to be prosecuted in the long run, that is not hampered by actions that we take.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick,
in association with our friends at
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Trinidad and Tobago's president, meantime, Christine Kangaloo, is suggesting that the lives of Trinidadians are very much like music born of the steel pan. Sunil Lala of TTT News reports.
In her New Year's Day message, President Christine Kangaloo said, while our lives too are often the product of hardened sticks striking against unpliable steel, capable of absorbing the steady blows struck against us on the outside, on the inside it can turn them into melodies that can enchant and inspire. The president recalled several challenges the country faced as the year drew to a close, including the declaration of a state of emergency, the demise of several due to road accidents, the grief of losing a relative to an industrial accident on the seas, as a search mission shrunk into a recovery effort, and the despair at the tragic death of a parliamentarian and the children in a household fire before Christmas. For many citizens, the president said many are called to find meaning in the seeming abundance of grief and sadness and questioned how this can be accomplished in 2025. But she said citizens should take inspiration that despite sadness around us, many chose to light a candle, noting the recent success of young panelist Joshua Regrello in his bid to establish a new world record by playing the national instrument in excess of 30 consecutive hours. President Kangaloo urged citizens as they take stock of the last 12 months and enter a new year to step forward with courage, optimism and confidence that we have what it takes, resilience and faith in ourselves and our fellow men, and love of our country to overcome challenges and multiply our blessings. Sonolala, TTT News.
Bank of Jamaica declares its reserves remain strong. More in this Business Day report from TVJ News.
Devaluation versus a fixed exchange range. That debate has intensified recently in light of the ongoing foreign exchange crisis facing Trinidad and Tobago. For the past year, the demand for Forex has grown in the Twin Island Republic, with Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley insisting that it's due mainly because more citizens are purchasing foreign goods and there's been a major increase in online purchases. And while his government is working on a solution, he stressed devaluing the dollar is not an option. The current exchange rate is 6 Trinidadian dollars 75 cents to $1. When asked to weigh in, BOJ Governor Richard Bowles said countries make decisions based on their own interests.
There are two countries that have pretty much gone the way Jamaica has, which is the DOMREP and ourselves. Everybody else has a fixed exchange rate. They don't fight inflation with interest rates. They tend to have significant subsidies in the economy. And Jamaica has taken a different approach, a kind of market-driven approach.
As it relates to Jamaican reserves.
But today, we have reserves that are strong and large and allows us to intervene and to be an active participant in a free market where if you want to go and buy $5,000 to have a holiday, you can get it. And every Jamaican who has a bank account in US dollars can access that account at any time, instantly.
Amoy Harriet, TVJ News.
Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown has used his New Year's address to paint a bright future for the Twin Island state. Jamie J. Roger of ABS News has more.
Antigua and Barbuda is on the rise, so says Prime Minister Gaston Brown as he kicks off the new year with a message of resilience and success. In his speech, the Prime Minister reflects on a year marked by global challenges, yet one in which Antigua and Barbuda thrive.
While the world wrestled with wars, economic uncertainty, and humanitarian crises, here in Antigua and Barbuda, our children slept in peace, our people lived with dignity, and our nation thrived despite the global challenges we faced.
He says 2024 saw the economy grow by 6%, reaching a whopping $6 billion, with tourism leading the charge.
Through the collective efforts of our people, we welcomed 1.1 million visitors to our shores, breaking the previous record we set ourselves in 2019.
But it's not just about the numbers. The Prime Minister says Antigua and Barbuda's banking sector is thriving too, now largely in local hands.
This transformation was not an accident. It was the result of my administration's courageous and decisive action, requiring Canadian-owned banks to sell their domestic operations exclusively to local institutions.
Looking ahead, the Prime Minister outlines bold plans for infrastructure and education improvements.
We are determined to resolve these issues once and for all. In 2025, a $165 million investment will refurbish and upgrade the V.C. Bird International Airport, while additional funding will extend Barbuda's airport runway and construct a new terminal building.
With a vision for a knowledge-based society and global competitiveness, Prime Minister Brown's address sets a hopeful tone for 2025. Jamie J. Rocher, ABS News.
The Barbados Cooperative and Credit Union League Limited remains laser-focused on securing deposit insurance for all credit union savers. The assurance from President Kemar Cumberbatch in the organization's New Year's message. Mr. Cumberbatch said the environment in which credit unions operate is one that is constantly evolving and members must have frank discussion with their leadership on the way forward.
We have seen that shift towards consolidation, and the League will facilitate and support such efforts. The power of the movement is not in the number of credit unions on the island, but in the strength and stability of the sector. Interest in becoming a member of a credit union is not waning. Consolidation of credit unions will not diminish the sector's role in the local financial architecture. What it will do is ensure that credit unions are more competitive, resilient, and better positioned to meet the service needs of members and the demands of regulators. It is an inequality that must be corrected with urgency. Today, there are 23 credit unions operating in Barbados, many of which are small with assets under $15 million, and some with less than even $4 million in assets. The leadership of these financial cooperatives know their members individually, are aware of their personal circumstances, and create solutions that attain to those specific needs.
I am Eddie Frederick, wishing you a restful weekend. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean.
In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.